president has arrived at the Swiss Spirit Alisa Hotel for the ceremony itself to begin. So let's cross over to the Swiss Spirit Alisa Hotel.
Please be seated. We welcome the Excellency, the President of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to the 12th General Assembly of WAPP. We want to quickly acknowledge some of our dignitaries who are sat here. We are privileged to have the President of the ECOWAS Commission, Marcel de Souza. We want to acknowledge his presence with a round of applause. We want to acknowledge the presence of the chairman of the West Africa Power Pool, Mohamed Usman Gur, is here with us. We want to acknowledge the presence of the Secretary General of WAPP, Siengui A. Kil, here with us. Privileged to have Ghana's Minister for Energy, the Honorable Boakye Ejiakun, here with us. We are privileged to have managing directors of a number of our state agencies. Mr. Emmanuel Intwi-Dakwa is the CEO of VRA, is here with us. Privileged to have the CEO of Gridco, Jonathan Amwakoba, also here with us. Privileged to have the managing director of ECG, Engineer Samuel Boakye Apia, here with us. For a program like this, there are a lot of agencies from all over the sub-region with representatives here. We want to quickly acknowledge their presence so that we know they are here. So permit me to mention their names and their organizations, and you would acknowledge their presence with a round of applause if you may. So from CEB, we have Shabi Sika Karimu. Thank you. From C Energies, we have Vani B. Tikura Michelle. Thank you, sir. From ECOWAS, we have Bangura Mulai. Bangura Mulai. We're also privileged to have from Sogem, Tamsir Indiaye. Tamsir Indiaye, thank you. From Sonabel, we have Wadrago Francois Desal. Also have honorary member Joseph Joseph Makoju. Have I mentioned CEB already? Shabi Sika Karimu, already mentioned. From LEC, we have Ernest Hughes. Ernest Hughes from LEC. From Nigelec, we have Halid Alassan. Halid Alassan. From ETSA, Alhaji Timbo. Thank you. From Senelec, Abdullahi Dia. And from CIE, Conan Justin. Thank you. From SBEE, we have Hun Sunu Cyprian. Thank you. From ONE, we have Sadak Abdesabad. OMVG, Fofana Lansina. And from Herrera, we have Honor Bogla. A few more to go through. From Transco CLSG, we have Nasif Abdul Kadir, Engineer Abdullahi Suleiman, and we also have Yila representing Transco CLSG. From Herrera, we have Honore Bogla. Thank you. OMVS, we have Diakite, Monsieur Diakite. From EDMSA, we have Ladio Sogoba. And we also have from SBEE, We have Honsu Cyprian as well. So for those of you whose names I've not mentioned yet, as the program proceeds, I will acknowledge your presence and we'll be very, very happy to have you here with us. So put your hands together for all our visitors and all our great partners who are gathered here with us. We want to take opening remarks, and ladies and gentlemen, we want to receive the Secretary General of WAPP to bring us greetings. Please put your hands together for Monsieur Singuli Kil. Key, Monsieur Key. Excusez-moi, Monsieur Key. Please put your hands together for him. Monsieur Key. Yes, sir. We'll take some opening remarks from him. Before, yeah.
Merci. Excellence, Monsieur le Président de la République du Ghana.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, the Honorable Minister of Energy of Ghana, the Commissioner in charge of Mines and Energy of the ECOWAS Commission, the Chairperson of the West African WAPP Executive Board, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. On behalf of the General Secretariat of WAPP, allow me to wish you all a warm welcome to Ghana, to this beautiful and big city of Accra. Many other voices of high authority than mine will say the same. I would like to thank you profoundly, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, for the honor done us to grace this occasion to come and open this event in Accra. I must say that we are honored to have you in our midst. And on behalf of our organization and on behalf of all of you, to tell you thank you very much. I only want to speak much. I just want to thank you. I thank all of you for your presence during this 12th WAPP General Assembly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'll invite my French co-MC to give us a quick summary of what was said in English, and then we'll introduce our next speaker, who is our Honorable Energy Minister. So, mon frère, please give us a quick summary. And
Excellence, Monsieur le Président de la République du Ghana, Monsieur le Ministre en charge de l'énergie, soyez les bienvenus à cette 12e Assemblée générale.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, all honorable members, we are going to start, and I will be the co-MC, the French co-MC. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We now want to receive our Honorable Minister for Energy in the person of the Honorable Boachi Ejakun to bring us the welcome remarks. Please put your hands together for him. And a quick note, we have a translation in the earpiece from hands. So for those of you who want to follow in a different language, just put on the earpiece, there'll be translation going on. Thank you. I need both? Just one. This is the live one. This one doesn't. Okay.
Your Excellency, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana, the President of the ECOWAS Commission, the Chairman of the WAPP Executive Board, the Vice Chairman of the WAPP Executive Board, the Chairman of the ECOWAS Regional Electricity Regulatory Authority, members of the WAPP Executive Board, members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished representatives of WAPP technical and financial partners, ladies and gentlemen of the press, good morning to you all. It is with great pleasure that I welcome you all, distinguished participants, to the 12th General Assembly of the WAPP taking place here in Accra, the capital of Ghana. The WAPP member utilities in Ghana are indeed honored to have you here with us. We have participants from all member utilities in all the mainland countries of West Africa. Sub-regional development institutions, the WAPP technical and financial partners, some of whom have come from outside West Africa, are gathered here today, thus making this meeting a truly international one. Ghana is honored to have been selected during the 11th General Assembly held in Ouagadougou in 2016 to host this event, which brings together renowned experts in the electricity sector in West Africa, international funding agencies, and the donor community to address issues relating to the common enterprise of establishing a regional electricity market by 2019. The theme for the 12th General Assembly is Regional Electricity Market, Ensuring West Africa Integration. This is in line with the vision of WAPP, which is integrate the regional power systems into a unified regional electricity market, with the expectation that such mechanisms would, over the medium to long term, ensure citizens of ECOWAS member states with stable and reliable electricity supply at competitive costs. The implementation of the vision started 12 years ago, and so far, some progress has been made. The power systems of 9 out of the 14 mainland countries of ECOWAS are integrated. It is expected that by 2019, all the 14 mainland countries would have been interconnected to enable trading commence on the regional electricity market. We have with us today representatives from all the electricity companies in West Africa, sub-regional institutions, as well as the technical and financial partners, and I hope this General Assembly will provide a platform to share ideas and views on issues that will enable us achieve the mission of creating a regional electricity market. I challenge all delegates, particularly our experts and heads of utilities, to think more about the challenges to the fulfillment of our common objectives of regional electricity trade and how we can make electricity available to the citizens of West Africa for the socio-economic development of the ECOWAS region. Ladies and gentlemen, the average access rate of 40% is too modest to match and fulfill the grand and noble ambitions of universal access and industrialization which we have set for ourselves. This meeting should not be just another talking shop, but set forth concrete recommendations towards the achievement of the vision of WAPP. The implementation of these recommendations may indeed trigger new challenges, such as transforming from an information and coordinating center and project promoter to a system market operator, which must be carefully managed. This new stage in the development of WAPP will require new skills and attitudes to meet the change in focus. Like a 12-year-old adolescent, WAPP needs to be guided by all the members of the family. I encourage delegates to actively participate in the discussions and wish everyone a successful and fruitful General Assembly. Thank you.
You're watching News Desk. My name is Daniel Dazi. We are currently at the Swiss Spirit Alisa Hotel here in Accra, where the West Africa Power Pool Project Forum is ongoing. Already we've heard the welcome address by Boakye Jacko, Ghana's energy minister. Now he's expecting that out of this discussion, these discussions that will take place, new reforms would come out to ensure that, among others, the average access to electricity for West Africa, that is 40%, will go up. Now, this is how many people have power in their homes. Basically have companies like ECG connected to their homes. It would interest you to know that Ghana, for instance, is has the second highest figure in entire Africa, second only to South Africa. But there are other nations within the West African sub-region which bring this figure down to 40%. These are some of the nuances and challenges that the West Africa Power Pool Forum is expected to address. And so we'll join the action now because later today in the same forum, the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is expected to speak. Let's join them at the Swiss Spirit Alisa Hotel.
Dance Ensemble. We want to acknowledge some of our financial partners who have made this program possible. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put hands together for Tropical Cable. Please put your hands together for Tropical Cable and Conductors Limited. We also are grateful to Leroy Cables Limited. Please acknowledge Leroy Cables Limited. We also want to thank USAID for their support. Please put your hands together for USAID. GIZ. They have reps here, so we are using this to acknowledge the reps here as well. So the GIZ rep, thank you. The USAID rep, thank you. World Bank is also a strong supporter and a contributor. Please put the World Bank. And KFW. We will now take an address by the Executive Board Chairman of the West Africa Power Pool, Mohammed Usman Gur. Please acknowledge his presence with a round of applause.
Good morning, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Your Excellency, the President of ECOWAS Commission, Marcel Alain de Souza, ably represented by the Commissioner in charge of Energy and Mines, the Honorable Minister of Energy of the Republic of Ghana, Bake Ijako, members of the Executive Board of WAPP, Managing Directors, Director Generals, senior officials of WAPP member utilities, Secretary General of WAPP Secretariat, representative of the donors, members of the diplomatic corps, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Executive Board of WAPP, I wish to thank the people and the government of the People's Republic of Ghana. I wish to particularly thank His Excellency, the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, for the warm reception and hospitality extended to WAPP delegates since we arrived for our meeting here in Ghana. We got the most cherished African hospitality, tradition of hospitality here in Ghana. Sir, all the power utilities in Ghana celebrated us since we came. The facilities put at our disposal are of the highest quality. In addition, I wish to thank you for the security and the serene nature of Accra, which is increasingly becoming the center of commerce and industry, not only for Ghana, but for the entire West Africa. I wish to thank His Excellency, the President of the ECOWAS Commission, for the unconditional and unrelenting support. The support of the technical and financial partners is unprecedented. For whatever we have achieved so far as WAPP, I can say Akwaba to Ghana for them. Without their generosity and support, WAPP will not have been where it is today. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed an honor and privilege that I stand before you to address this General Assembly. Indeed, the integration of national transmission systems in West Africa and the creation of electricity market is about the most important step aimed at regional integration. This assignment given to WAPP by the Authority of Head of States and Government of ECOWAS is clearly the most important step of integrating our economies. This year's General Assembly intends to advance electricity power integration and electricity market creation. Through the implementation of our priority interconnection and generation project, still remain a major thrust of WAPP, focus and priority. The establishment of Information and Coordination Center and the apparatus of market trading has also gained increased momentum and relevance. Let me at this juncture single out the European Union for the grant of €30 million for the construction of the Information and Coordination Center, which started in January 2017 and is progressing smoothly. The project has 5 control centers in Nigeria, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Guinea, and Senegal, and will be completed on schedule in December 2019. WAPP Executive Board has approved the condition precedent for the takeoff of the first phase of the regional electricity market. What is outstanding is the approval of IRERA, the regional regulatory agency, for us to take off. WAPP is also working with the World Bank to provide securitization in the form of partial risk guarantee in order to strengthen the cross-border electricity transaction. This is necessary since payment of electricity consumed is threatening the continued sustainability of our effort. It is important to highlight that cross-border electricity market cannot be successful without member countries of WAPP providing cost-reflective tariff and also well-functioning distribution networks. A systematic approach needs to be taken to resolve the revenue collection issues in the member countries. As acknowledged by the Minister of Energy of Ghana, we have connected 9 countries so far. The remaining 5 countries, which are Sierra Leone, Guinea, Liberia, Guinea-Bissau, and Gambia, shall be interconnected through the following regional lines, interconnection lines: the Côte d'Ivoire, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea interconnection, and the Guinea, Senegal, Gambia, Guinea-Bissau interconnection. Both projects will be completed unfailingly in 2019. And that will have sealed the interconnection of all the 14 land countries. WAPP is expanding interconnection of member countries through several other projects. Some of the notable projects include the NOTCO, connecting Nigeria, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Benin. The second Benin-Nigeria interconnection, that is interconnecting Nigeria, and then the Nigeria, Benin, Togo, Ghana, and then Ghana, Burkina Faso, Mali, Guinea, Mali interconnection, and several other interconnection projects at various stages of development. Many more of such projects are in pipeline. Such projects will become clearer after the completion of the WAPP Master Plan update, which will start very soon. However, all this effort of WAPP is being threatened by policy inconsistency of some government of the region. Such inconsistency, if not quickly checked, will greatly affect the capacity of WAPP to raise funds from international donors. So we solicit support of government of various countries to ensure that we stop policy inconsistency. We cannot start a project, we reach a certain level, it's changed, then next time you hear the project has been taken and given to other donors without following competitive selection process. So this is a big problem for us. WAPP has secured significant amount of support for training of its staff and that of member countries. Particularly, the support we are receiving from the World Bank is of significance. The training are in the areas of interconnection management, and market development, among others. WAPP is further conducting training need analysis to determine the comprehensive requirement. This is also include the current effort aimed at transforming some of the existing training centers in Côte d'Ivoire, that is in Kainji, Nigeria, Calavi in Benin, Akuse in Ghana, CME in Côte d'Ivoire, and Cap de Beach in Senegal, into regional centers of excellence, where curricula will be specifically developed to satisfy our needs. We require continued support from our stakeholders, including government and member utilities, our technical partners, investors, contractors, consultants, civil society, and the media. The list goes on. From our members, we continue to rely on your financial support and contribution towards operating and capital budget of WAPP, and your expertise support in all levels of our endeavor. From our government, we require conducive environment for the market and the accompanying policy framework devoid of inconsistencies and counter directives that seeks to slow project implementation. From our technical partners, technical and financial partners, we require more support for our project, but also harmonization of policies, coordination, and co-financing to leverage more resources. To investors, given the existence of huge lack of access, this part of the world represents the best potential for investment. However, we need your understanding as we try to create the enabling environment for the establishment of a successful electricity market. We intend to establish regulation for participation in the market that is open and non-discriminatory. To contractors and consultants, we require the highest standards of output, performance. In addition to the civic society and media, we require your objective and constructive criticism that will strengthen participation in line with principles of probity, transparency, and accountability. Before concluding, I wish to thank our host, all the members of the utilities in Ghana, VRA, ECG, Gridco, Netco, Senit, Energy, Send Power, and Car Power, Powership, for being excellent hosts. Your Excellency, the President of People's Republic of Ghana, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Finally, I wish once again thank our technical and financial partners for the confidence they have in WAPP. And to WAPP members, we will continue to count on your support for payment of your contribution and releasing your staff to attend our meetings at very short notice and providing competent staff on secondment. I congratulate the Secretary General and staff of WAPP Secretariat for good work over the past years, and we expect them to do more. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Avec la permission de Son Excellence, Monsieur le Président de la République, je voudrais inviter.
With the permission of the President of the Republic of Ghana, I would like to welcome the representative of KFW for his speech.
Your Excellency, the President of Ghana, the Minister of Energy of Ghana, the President of the ECOWAS Commission, Chairman of the WAPP, Secretary General of the WAPP, representative of the ECOWAS member states and states utilities. Ladies and gentlemen, as a representative of KFW, I today received the honor to talk on behalf of the donors in this audience. Thank you very much. I take that occasion to officially appreciate and thank you the work of the WAPP. In 2019, which has been said before, but it is so important that I want to repeat it. In 2019, all ECOWAS member states will be integrated into the common network. That is a big effort that will help to provide cheap and reliable energy and environmentally friendly energy. That is our vision as the donors for the WAPP. And we will hope to have this energy for the entire region. We should not stop here, and we cannot stop here. To reap the full benefit of this network, further, a deeper level of cooperation is required. An optimization of investments of the operation itself beyond national frontiers. That is what we believe brings the highest benefit for this network. More investments are needed in the network itself, in the renewable energy on a regional scale, on ITC infrastructure, also on the development of the technologies, the commercial framework to reflect in a perfect way what each and every party to the network can deliver. There's also a lot of work to be done on financial performance of the utilities themselves. Since they are getting a part of a regional network, it is essential from our point of view that the level of trust through financial performance they show is sufficient, and that also gets a regional task from our point of view. On behalf of the donors, I want to point out we are proud to be part of this success story over the last 12 years. It is a success story. In not much more than a decade, the entire network has been integrated. I confirm the commitment of the donors to the WAPP and to the project and to the member states, and would like to conclude thanking the host of this General Assembly. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I welcome the Commissioner in charge of Energy and Mines, representing the President of the ECOWAS Commission for his speech.
Excellence, Monsieur le Président de la République du Ghana, vous allez nous permettre,
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, permit me, before I present the speech of the President of the ECOWAS Commission, let me express the profound gratitude to you on behalf of your friend, Mr. Marcel de Souza, the ECOWAS President. He will have wished to be in your midst today for this opening session of the 12th WAPP General Assembly. However, at the last hour, due to tight schedule and an assignment of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, he couldn't make it here. He presents his excuse. On this note, with your permission, I will present the speech on his behalf.
Excellence, Monsieur Nana Addo Dwanka Akudo Addo,
Your Excellency,
Akufo-Addo,
the President of the Republic of Ghana,
Président de la République
Nana
du Ghana,
Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana,
Messieurs les chefs des institutions républicaines du Ghana,
Honorable
Excellence, Monsieur le Ministre
Minister of Energy of Ghana,
Mesdames et Messieurs,
ladies and gentlemen, members and officials
Excellence, Mesdames et
of
Messieurs,
the Ghanaian government,
corps diplomatique et consulaire,
Your Excellencies, members of the diplomatic corps,
Conseil exécutif du WAPP, Messieurs les
honorable
membres du
representatives
Conseil
and members
exécutif du WAPP,
of the WAPP
Monsieur le
Executive
secrétaire général du WAPP,
Council Board,
Monsieur
the General
le
Secretary
président
of
de
WAPP,
l'AREC, Mesdames et
ladies
Messieurs les directeurs généraux
and
des
gentlemen,
sociétés membres du WAPP,
CEOs of MAM utility
Mesdames et
companies,
Messieurs les partenaires techniques et financiers du
ladies
West
and
African
gentlemen,
Pool,
members
honorables invités
of
en vos rangs et grades,
the financial and technical partners of WAPP,
observés.
all
Distingués
protocols
hôtes,
observed.
Mesdames et Messieurs,
Ladies and gentlemen,
c'est avec donc un réel plaisir
it is indeed
que je
an
prends la
honor
parole ce matin
for
au
me
nom
to
du
take the
président de la
floor
Commission
on
de la
behalf
CEDEAO
of the President of
à
the ECOWAS
l'occasion de la
Commission
12e
during the
session de
opening
l'Assemblée
section
générale
of the
du West
12th
African Power Pool,
WAPP
dont
General
la
Assembly.
cérémonie d'ouverture est sous la haute autorité
And this
de son
opening
Excellence
ceremony
Monsieur
is
Nana
under the
Addo
auspices
Dwanka
of His Excellency,
Akufo-Addo,
the President of the Republic
Président
of
de la
Ghana,
République du Ghana,
Mr. Nana
que je vous demande
Addo
très
Dankwa
humblement
Akufo-Addo.
de l'ovationner et de l'applaudir.
And I wish you all to applause for His Excellency.
Excellence, Monsieur le Président,
Your Excellency,
votre présence effective
your
parmi nous
presence
ce
in our
matin
midst this morning,
à l'ouverture de cette
during the
12e
opening
Assemblée
session
générale
of
du
the
West
12th
African
WAPP General
Power Pool
Assembly,
témoigne,
is
s'il en était
a
encore
clear
besoin,
demonstration
de votre profond
of your
attachement à l'intégration
commitment
régionale
to regional
et de
integration
l'importance que
and
vous
to
accordez
the
au
importance
développement du
you've
secteur de
given to
l'énergie
the
de
development
notre
of
région.
the energy sector of our
Vous l'avez
sub-region.
démontré éloquemment
You have
au
demonstrated this
lendemain de votre prestation de serment.
during the time
Vous
you
avez
took
presque
office.
sillonné toutes les
You,
capitales des États membres de
immediately
la
after you
CEDEAO
taking office,
en y
you
apportant
visited
un
all
message fort
ECOWAS member countries
de votre
with a
engagement
key
pour
message
l'intégration
demonstrating
économique,
the
politique,
key
sociale de la
attachment
CEDEAO.
to the economic integration
nom des
and political
institutions
integration of
de la
ECOWAS.
CEDEAO,
On behalf
au
of
nom
all the
des
institutions of
participants à cette réunion,
ECOWAS,
et
and
en
on
mon nom
behalf
propre,
of all participants
je vous
of this
prie
very
d'accepter,
assembly,
Excellence, Monsieur
and
le
on my
Président,
own behalf,
mes sincères
I kindly wish to thank you
et la gratitude de toute
and
la
also to
communauté
express
pour votre
the
soutien
profound
constant
gratitude of the entire
et
ECOWAS
sans
Commission
faille aux normes
to you
idéaux
for your
d'intégration
firm
de la
commitment to
CEDEAO.
the ideas of ECOWAS
Votre
integration.
soutien aux activités du West African Power
Your support
Pool
to
et
activities
vos
of
conseils
WAPP
avisés pour le
and
développement
your
du secteur
continuous
de
advice
l'énergie
to the
de notre région.
development of the
Je
energy
vous
sector
exprime
of our
aussi,
region
Excellence,
is
Monsieur le
not
Président,
measurable.
nos
Your
sincères
Excellency,
remerciements et à
I also
travers
wish
vous
to
aux
thank
membres
you
de
and
votre
also to
gouvernement,
express
au vaillant peuple du Ghana pour avoir
our
accepté
profound
d'abriter
gratitude to the
cette
people of
12e
Ghana
Assemblée générale du
for
WAPP
hosting this 12th WAPP General Assembly in this wonderful and beautiful capital city of Accra. Honorable invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, energy production, infrastructural development, in order to increase access to affordable energy, is one of the priorities of ECOWAS. ECOWAS has identified the key role that energy and electricity will play as a key ingredient in the integration and economic development of our people. On this note, the Master Plan of Energy Transition and Development 2012-2025 has set the pace to invest more in the energy sector based on harnessing energy resources to achieve economy of scale, to make sure we have affordable and reliable electricity throughout the sub-region. The overall need financing of this project is $26.5 billion US. This indeed is a significant resources to mobilize. Since the inception of WAPP, we have been able to chalk some successes. However, we still have a long way to go because the socio-economic and political landscape of our sub-region is not at all easy. However, due to a clear vision we have identified in the master plan and the commitment of heads of state of ECOWAS and a clear vision of WAPP, our institution has been able to identify itself as an institution worthy of trust, not only in the eyes of the technical and financial partners, but also in the eyes of the president of ECOWAS. Your Excellency, your presence in our midst is a key demonstration of this. It is important to outline that, despite the fact that WAPP has chalked some successes in the implementation of this master plan, we still have some key challenges, such as the level of achievement of projects, financing of projects, financing of the construction of infrastructures, and the launching of the new regional electricity market. All the challenges require on our part strategies and key investments. However, the revision of this master plan that is currently ongoing is a key step to the realization of new developmental projects in the sector as well as in the ECOWAS member countries. Your Excellency, the energy sector of the sub-region needs your support. We need your advice. We need your advocacy before your other colleague head of state for us to harness the appropriate resources that we need to put this industry a step forward. This 12th WAPP General Assembly is an opportunity for us to bring together all the CEOs of the utility service in our respective countries. We are here to brainstorm together to find appropriate solutions to the energy crisis of our sub-region. To you, the CEOs of utility companies, you have a key role in achieving the ECOWAS strategy for the development of the energy sector. First of all, you are supposed to make sure you provide reliable electricity without any fluctuation at an affordable price to the people of ECOWAS. You are also supposed to increase access rate of electricity to attain the objective of ECOWAS, which is universal access for electricity by 2030. On this note, on behalf of the President of ECOWAS Commission and members of the Executive Council Board of WAPP and all members of the ECOWAS Commission, we are ready to invest more to have appropriate energy infrastructure to make sure we bridge the energy gap that we have in the sub-region. I also want to call on our financial and technical partners to continue supporting us, as you have already been doing during the 39th donor conference of WAPP. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me the opportunity to tackle an issue which is a key component in the continuity of our energy, which is the solvency of the sector. We cannot have a robust energy sector if the utility companies are not harnessing, are not having the appropriate finances, and if they are not technically viable. And it is for this reason that I want to commend all the utility companies for the efforts they have been doing to make sure they maintain the level of their operations despite the challenges that they face day in, day out. We have the obligation to support you if we are supposed to make sure we have a robust regional electricity market. We therefore are expecting of you impatiently from you, all the utility companies, to take the initiative instituted by GEZ to another level. In May 2017, we had a meeting in Abuja 2017. We will come out with key recommendations during this General Assembly to better improve the technical and financial solvency of our utility companies in the sub-region. Ladies and gentlemen, invited guests, this 12th WAPP General Assembly, which is a follow-up to the 39th Executive Council Board and the 39th Donor Conference, is an opportunity for us to continue brainstorming on our programs to achieve a regional electricity market. It is my hope that at the end of this very General Assembly, we will be able to take appropriate decisions and recommendations to make sure this regional electricity market becomes a reality in our lifetime, so that we should be able to provide electricity to our people, reliable energy, and at an affordable price. I am convinced that the analysis that we are going to make following the presentation of the General Secretariat's report and the discussions that we are going to have during this 12th General Assembly will be in the same vein, so that we can implement WAPP projects for the well-being of our people. Ladies and gentlemen, invited guests, to bring my speech to an end, I would like to reiterate our profound gratitude to the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and also to the government and the people of Ghana, to VRA, to ECG, to GRIDCO, and to all their CEOs for the warm welcome and the legendary hospitality that they have given us since we stepped our foot in this beautiful city of Accra. I also wish to thank you, the technical and financial partners, to the President of the Executive Council Board of WAPP, to all members of Executive Council Board, to the WAPP General Secretariat, and all the CEOs, utility member countries, as well as to the staff of the WAPP General Secretariat for their efforts they put together to make sure the energy sector becomes robust for the well-being of all our people within the ECOWAS sub-region. Your Excellency, I would like to bring my speech to an end, all by wishing a sound success to this 12th WAPP General Assembly, and that this 12th General Assembly will be in the history of WAPP as presided over by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Muito obrigado.
Thank you very much. Please put your hands together again for him. And if we've learned two things today. we know that our president's name in French sounds nicer than it sounds in English. So we in the media will ask him permission to mention the French version. We also did not know we were a People's Republic of Ghana. But I'm sure he will let Cabinet consider it, whether that change should take place. Thank you. Before we hear from His Excellency, we want to acknowledge a few more people finally. We have the CEO of SemPower, Engineer Theosaki. Please put your hands together for him. Engineer Theosaki. CEO of Senate Eunice Brichum.
Still have a news desk, and we're watching the 12th West Africa Power Pool Forum, which is currently underway as the Swiss Spirit Alisa Hotel. This is the end of a 5-day forum that has been ongoing the entire week. We just had 3 persons give their remarks. We had initially Mohamed Usman Guru, who is the executive chairman of the West Africa Power Pool. We also had the representative of KFW, the WAPP donor. And then we also had the representative of the president of ECOWAS. Very quickly, we'll be looking at some of the plans that these people have put out, main among which is what Mohamed Usman Guru was saying, that the interconnection of land countries will be complete by 2019. They are expecting that by 2019, it would be easy. The West Africa Power Pool project will be complete. It would be easy to have a grid, a system where you can just take power from one country to another country because there's interconnectivity between these various specific countries. And that's where the WAPP project is looking to take us as a nation. He was also mentioning, interestingly here, that policy inconsistency is not helping the WAPP project. He made mention of the fact that a change in government means a change in direction, and not only a change in direction in terms of stopping the project, but in terms of changing the contractors working on some of the projects. We've seen some of these things happening here in Ghana. I remember the Osuno power plant, which was changed to the Senate power plant. The work on this power plant was halted after the change in government from the Kofo administration to the Mills administration. It's halted for a while before it was rebranded to Senate, and then it became the Senate power project, which today is providing power to Ghana's local grid. So these are some of the issues that he mentioned. He also mentioned the fact that procurement procedure, wrong procurement procedure helps to increase power, the cost of power in some of these nations. And also, so he was appealing to the local heads of states, the various heads of states, to make sure that the proper procurement procedures are looked at and are followed when this procurement is being done. A procurement of power, I mean, for the local grid is being done. Very soon we'll be going back to the Swiss Spirit Alisa Hotel. The president is speaking, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. So let's switch back there. When we come back, we'll continue with News Desk. Stay tuned.
Chairperson of the ECOWAS Regional Electricity Regulatory Authority, members of the Executive Board of the West Africa Power Pool, representatives of WAPP, technical and financial partners, members of the Diplomatic Corps, our senior citizens, Erasmus Kalichi and Joseph Makuju, fellow Africans, ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to be here this morning at the 12th General Assembly of the West African Power Pool, WAPP, which is being held in our capital city of Accra for the first time. Those of you who come from beyond our shores are welcome amongst the people who pride themselves on their sense of hospitality. I know you have been here already for almost a week. I hope you're enjoying your stay amongst us. Akwaba, as you know by now, is our word of welcome. We are honored by the decision of the Executive Board of WAPP and its Secretariat to entrust Ghana with the responsibility of ensuring that West Africa and beyond converge on the shores of Ghana to a discourse on the regional electricity market as a means of achieving a matter that is a fundamental goal of my government, the integration of West Africa. I'm glad that issues of regional and continental integration are receiving the attention they rightfully deserve. I continue to state that the result of the integration of Europe is that it is a much stronger economic and political player on the world stage. Whilst the European Union, EU, is central to the lives of most Europeans, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, continues to be somewhat peripheral to the lives of most West Africans. And it is not for the lack of plans or even rules and regulations. It is simply that the political will to make integration real has been less evident than in Europe. Our problem over the years, I suggest, has been leadership. We need leadership that is focused on the region and not on individual countries. The European Union took off because the political will to make it work was there. Once the political will is evident, we can then work together to make out of ECOWAS a true regional community and market. As co-chair of the group of advocates of eminent persons in the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, I am aware that SDG 7, which requires that we ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all, is in sync with the ultimate objective of the regional power pool, which is to make affordable, reliable, sustainable modern energy services available to the citizens of West Africa. Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, we find ourselves in a region well endowed with diverse energy resources to support domestic, industrial, and commercial uses that will eventually lead to the socio-economic development and transformation of the region. These resources are, however, unevenly distributed, and it is through regional cooperation and integration of the regional electricity network, through power pooling and cross-border interconnection, that the benefits of electricity can be made available to a broad majority of citizens of West Africa. The availability and use of electricity will greatly influence how rapidly West African countries are able to increase their agricultural and industrial productivity, provide safe drinking water, achieve rapid economic development, and employ information and communications technology to become increasingly integrated into the global marketplace. Producing reliable and affordable electricity is crucial to the development of the region. Indeed, the president of the African Development Bank, the highly respected Akinwumi Adesina, is quoted as saying that, and I quote, "If African leaders want power, they must provide power," unquote. The delivery of stable, affordable power is critical to the success of our efforts towards the development of West Africa. Since 2000, economic growth in West Africa has been rapid, and so has electricity consumption. In most West African countries, the annual growth in demand for electricity is estimated at 10%. This means that for every 7 years, we need to double our investment in electricity infrastructure. Investment in the energy sector has been termed as impact investment, in that it ensures the delivery of financial and social returns that have the potential to address important challenges. such as reduction of poverty and improvement of the lives of people. In West Africa, fortunately, through the ECOWAS Energy Protocol, efforts have been made to resolve the regulatory and political barriers constraining investment in electricity supply and inadequate infrastructure along the electricity value chain. Heads of state and government of ECOWAS, through the Supplementary Act, decided most of the regional power generation facilities should be developed by WAPP through special purpose vehicles under the PPP framework. The 450 megawatt WAPP regional thermal generation plants at Aboise in Ghana and Maria Gleta in Benin are being developed within this framework. The success of these projects will go a long way to boost investor confidence and attract more private sector capital into other WAPP projects. Ladies and gentlemen, Ghana has been able, through the right regulatory, legal, and commercial framework, to attract a lot of private sector players into the generation end of the business, and in the near future should be able to export its excess generation through the WAPP network to other countries. We are fully aware that if we are to see West Africa prosper, a region that is able to turn its natural endowments into resources that will afford her people access to better education, improved health care, safe water and electricity, we should call on our experts, technical and financial partners gathered here this week to come up with concrete proposals that will make regional integration through a regional electricity market a reality. I'm confident that the 12th WAPP General Assembly will be able to seize the opportunity to reflect on the progress made towards the establishment of a regional electricity market, and in general, identify gaps and challenges as we map a clear way forward. I must, as the 2017 African Union Gender Champion, urge this meeting to accord particular attention to the needs of women in the energy sector, especially in terms of health, education, and economic empowerment through the availability of energy resources. For example, along the electricity supply value chain, there are opportunities for directly employing women in the electricity sector, from installation and maintenance to distribution of bills and collections. Each aspect of the sector has a particular value proposition for women's involvement. While progress has been made in terms of the provision of generation and transmission infrastructure, as well as the technical and commercial rules for the establishment of the regional electricity market, the evidence on the ground still points that more has to be done to get to the final destination. It is said that it always seems impossible until it is done. As we gather here to discuss the regional electricity market, we must recall that while the challenges are immense, we must fundamentally realign our energy systems to achieve a unified system. WAPP has what it takes in terms of capacity and capability to create the regional electricity market. This is the surest way to harness the abundant energy resources of the region, to accelerate the socio-economic development of the region, and improve the living standards of our people. We must travel down this road. Alongside the risks, this is a moment of great opportunity for WAPP and West Africa. I'm convinced that the agreement amongst West African countries to integrate our electricity network, the region's development and economic takeoff, would engender strong synergies and significant complementarities. The outcome of the integration should be an electricity system in which uninterrupted supply is the expectation rather than the exception. In conclusion, let me thank all the utilities from across the countries in West Africa and beyond for participating in the 12th WAPP General Assembly. It is a step in the right direction that we deliberate on the way forward for integrating our networks to create a regional electricity market to accelerate the socio-economic development of West Africa. The political environment of the region is improving, despite obvious challenges, such as the threat of terrorism. For the first time in our history, all 15 member states of ECOWAS have democratically elected governments. As the principles of democratic accountability gain ground in the region, a historic opening is presenting itself for far-reaching decisions to be taken to consolidate the agenda for the integration of the region, decisions that will surely inure to the benefit of the populations of the region. I look forward to your interactive deliberations and wish you successful outcomes from this gathering of WAPP member utilities. And thank you, and may God bless us all, Ghana and ECOWAS.
We thank the President of the Republic. Please put your hands together again as he resumes his seat. Before the national anthem, a few quick announcements again, if you would permit me, ladies and gentlemen. We want to specially acknowledge the support of Skipper.
President Akufo-Addo there delivering his address at the Swiss Spirit Alisa Hotel, where the 12th WAPP Forum is about to wrap up. It's day 5 of the forum. After he speaks, a number of other speakers will come through and they would wrap up immediately. Very interesting points he made there. Key among which you understand from how the president is speaking, that policy direction that he has taken since he was presidential candidate somewhere in 2015, where he's been talking about ECOWAS integration and the expansion of market for West African countries, to allow West African countries to trade among themselves. Remember, there has been some key deals in the energy sector since he became president, one of which is that agreement we have with Equatorial Guinea for us to get liquefied natural gas, LNG, from Equatorial Guinea. So as a government, already this current administration is moving in that direction. It therefore comes as no surprise, really, to key watchers that the president would hit on the point of the creation of a regional electricity market so many times in the speech. You realize that he mentioned that it's about time that we had a regional electricity market, allowing countries to trade electricity among themselves. Looking critically at it, Ghana would be more of a beneficiary if you look at the figures, really, because according to the World Bank, our access to electricity, as I was suggesting earlier, is 78.3%, second highest in the entire Africa. Cote d'Ivoire neighboring is 61.9%, Mali is 27.3%, Niger is 14.3%. So you realize that there is a lot of potential if Ghana could get its act right in terms of supply of power, because it's different to have access to electricity and different from having the electricity supplied into the homes when you need them. If this should happen, we should be able to export power to some of these other countries. I mean, a number of interesting points. He listed some challenges that we need, chief among which challenges we face, I should say, chief among which is the fact that, electricity consumption on the average increases by 10% each year. That means that every 7 years, every nation is supposed to sort of double the investments they make in energy infrastructure every 7 years. If you want to catch up with, the consumption growth of your nations. And so interesting deliberations all around. It's time for us to wrap up News Desk today. My name is Daniel Dazi. We'll make way for Bernice Abubedu to bring you Joy News Interactive in a moment. But before Bernice joins us, of course, let's try and take another look at some of the issues that were raised at the WAPP forum, because it wasn't just the president who spoke, and there are a number of participants at that forum who would, of course, love to have a word. Joy Business's George Wiafe is on the ground for us. Odilia Ntiama is also there, but we will go to George Wiafe to hear him as he interacts with some of the participants to catch what they understand about what has been happening so far. George, if you can hear me, take us away.
To improve power supply for consumers, and about the fact that how the region has also grown in terms of political stability and what can be done to actually attract more investment into the power sector. The president again spoke about development that has taken place in the economy and what that can be, or how we can leverage on this in terms of attracting real players into the industry, and how we can also develop a good market in the region, or how we can also benefit from this whole West African power pool when it comes to delivering our excess power that we produce, put it into the pool, and everyone can indeed benefit from it. As we speak right now, there's going to be a photo session. It's been going on right now, and then all these chiefs will come back into the auditorium and follow up with the discussion. Some would say that it hasn't ended yet. How do we ensure that we reduce the cost of power? That's the biggest challenge for many of these users in this region. The fact that it costs each country so much to generate power. And how do you also ensure that consumers get it at a very more affordable, or let's say a cheaper price? The debate is currently ongoing. The discussions are currently going on what can be done from the manager's side to ensure that indeed reduce the cost of production, which some people say it could go a long way to reduce utility tariffs. In Ghana, the minister has spoken about the fact that all other things being equal, before the end of this year, we should see some review in tariffs, because they are working on the input, those costs of production that actually will see the prices going up. What can be done to ensure that the cost is actually reduced? We'll be speaking to a lot of these players who are here, and what can be done to actually reduce the cost of power generation in the country, so that you and I can indeed enjoy some more of a cheaper power in terms of paying for this. This is our coverage of the West African Power Pool Conference currently going on at Swiss Bread. And very soon I'll be talking to one of the men who actually manage a critical sector in this country, Jabez Emisha Atta. He was formerly of the WAPP Power Authority. And I'll say indeed, thank you so much, sir, for joining us on our discussion here at the Swiss Bread Hotel, formerly Alisa Hotel, where the West African Power Pool is ongoing. And several speakers spoke. One thing that I'll ask that, how do we get over that hedge of high cost of power generation? Mr. Jabez Emisata.
Well, the cost of generation really has to come down, because the numbers we are talking about now, some of the great ideas we have for regional cooperation cannot happen with those numbers. We have to drive the cost down. And as you know, most of us are now using thermal, and 75-80% of the cost comes from fuel. So the fuel sources are probably one of the targets one should look at. How we procure fuel at more competitive prices will determine about 3/4 of the cost. The other part is to look at how the other infrastructure, the plants themselves and the transmission interconnection, and make sure they are cost effective, because the export or import by any country depends on the price competition. And once the region is totally connected, competition will change from just not what is available, but competition on the basis of price. And we have to position ourselves to be ready to compete in the rest of the sub-region according to price.
Mr. Mustafa, I know Ghana has had its own challenges with respect to the payment of this debts and all the rest with respect to this West African power pool and all the rest. One is asking that then what is the essence of this pool when if a member country has a challenge in paying its debt on time? I may be cut or asked to the fact that I'm reprimanded.
Well, financial discipline will have to come in. because certainly when you are engaged in these market transactions, people have to pay up what they buy. So all across the sector is going to have to exercise some financial discipline to make things happen. So after competition, financial strength and financial discipline and credibility is probably the next most important thing to have this regional cooperation continue and to make sure that we all get the power that we would like to have.
I mean, actually, being there before as more of a player regulator, now you are outside. There's this concern that we might be we're bringing in too much IPPs. And could it get to a time where we'll be producing too much power? And where do we send that excess power to? Because it costs these IPPs or these independent producers a lot of money to invest, and they can sell at a certain price. I don't know whether Togo, Benin, Burkina is prepared to buy power at that price.
Well, it is not just those countries, but we have seen, for instance, that in Ghana itself, the willingness of the consumer to pay higher tariffs has almost reached its limit. The consumers are less and less willing to pay higher prices. So, and it's the same in the sub-region. When you are exporting to Togo, Benin, and Nigeria is also exporting to Togo, Benin, essentially you are competing on price. And if we are not careful with our cost of generation here, we will have the connection to the various countries, but we will not be able to sell to them because our price is not competitive. So the next frontier for us after interconnection in the sub-region is to really focus on what is causing our electricity prices to be high.
Mr. Jabez, what is also resulting in the high cost of production? I mean, there have been talk about fuel and all the other factors, but for instance, if ExxonMobil is coming in here and then they want to also go into generation of power, why does it cost them so much that it's difficult for them to charge certain price to the consumer?
Well, I think that we will have to ask some of these providers and look at what goes into their cost. I know that one of the elements in that cost, for instance, once you take the fuel out, which I've said the fuel is the majority cost in there, we have to look at more efficient procurement of an appropriate fuel and a cost-effective fuel. But if you are not financially credible, there are costs involved, additional costs, for the risks that the IPPs take in bringing their plant here. So that's another area that we have to look at.
Cost, global warming, do you think that thermal is still relevant going forward, 10 years to come, 20 years to come? Should we look at diversifying? Because looking at the weather pattern, looking at cost of fuel, should we revise our notes in terms of the investment into thermal power?
We have to always revise our notes according to the choices that are available. And in the recent years, let's say in the past year, it has become obvious that solar power, for instance, is far more competitive than some of the fossil fuel plants that we are building now. So the planners of the system have to take that into consideration and make sure that we construct the lower cost plants first. Before we get into the others. So yes, the planners have to revise their notes according to the price comparison between the various sources and select the least cost for us to go forward.
So finally, I'll ask you, do you think we should put a stop to bringing in new independent power producers and focus on the current ones in operation? Because it looks like still the market appears to be more good in bringing in, or people that still want to come in. So we got to a stage where we said, it's enough, let's focus on those who are currently in the market and see how we can drive down the cost of production. Or this whole argument where if there are too many players in the market, that could go in a long way to reduce the cost.
Well, I think that those of us who have looked at the demand and supply situation see that, yes, we have getting to a point of oversupply, and so we have to put a moratorium on new plants. We honestly have to put a moratorium on new plants, else we'll procure plants that we don't immediately need, and that will bring costs with it. So yes, the people have to look at that. We have to look at that carefully and put a freeze on additional new plants until we have properly digested the plants that we have.
Thank you so much, Jabez.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
He's the former chief executive of the Bui Power Authority, sharing his thought with us with respect to developments in the power sector and how we can make it more attractive and going forward indeed, whether we need more players in the power sector or not. This has been our coverage. This has been our coverage of the West African Power Pool Conference. Basically, we had the president earlier on sharing his thought, and over to you guys in the studio. We'll also get back to you later.
Thank you very much, George Biafe, for holding the fort for us at the Sweet Spirit Alisa Hotel here in Accra. And this is where we wrap up today's Bulletin of News Desk.